Now this is just going to be a short, fun, festive watercolour, completely imaginary. So we'll start with an oval, a little bit more at the back, and as it's going to be a face, we'll put in some construction lines roughly around the middle there for the eyes, and one down for the centre, and then put in a nose, some eyebrows, tuck in an eye, and it's always nice. We have some, you'll see who it is shortly. A hat, and quite a luxurious moustache and beard, and a good old sort of hat. And by having those construction lines in, it sort of goes round the head nicely. And there's the hat. And just think, here's the neck, and the shoulders will be quite high, like this. If you're a landscape painter and you'd like to try just a festive painting of Father Christmas, the big advantage of this sort of character is that he's got a hat on, he's got some glasses, and he's got a beard. So all of that covers up the difficult moving area of the mouth. Right, well, let's start the painting. Some cadmium red, bit of raw sienna. Just push the colour a little bit. The light's going to come from the top right hand corner, so let's a bit more water. Let's just leave it a little bit of a highlight. Make it bigger than you feel that you need. You can always come back and make it a bit smaller, a little bit more yellow here, and just a bit darker in there, so a little bit of burnt sienna. Try and paint round the frames of the glasses. We'll just soften one of the edges of the highlight. You think it's really red, and then you have to go back with a bit more. A little bit of cobalt. Get this side in the shade. Save a little bit of light on that. A warmer colour just round the, so more of the cadmium red, so a little bit of cadmium orange, just for the fun of it. A little bit warmer there, just in the centre of his forehead. Then some cerulean blue for the temples. Preserve the white eyebrows if you can. introduce all sorts of colour in the skin. I'll just take up some of these drips. Before they start to misbehave. And some just cool, very dilute, mainly cobalt. Although we call them the whites of the eyes, it's a mistake to leave them white. They just jump out too much. Let's just put that in. It's starting to run, so I'll just take that drip up there. But in general, let the watercolour do its own thing. And then of course there'll be a shadow. If the light's coming from the top right hand corner, there'll be a sort of shadow on his moustache and just underneath the moustache. Just use lots of different colours, bit of viridian, bit of cobalt, a little bit of burnt umber, bit of cerulean on this side, tiny bit of water, and of course the rest of his coat will be red here. Don't often get the opportunity to paint some using cadmium red. Tiny bit too much water there. When there's too much water, it tends to misbehave and run. But I can afford to have that as a soft edge. And then more. Let's have cadmium red and a little bit of ultramarine. Give me a sort of a dull, shadowy, warm colour here, where the beard projects over his coat. Now I've just stopped to let that dry and clear up the palette. Now let's carry on a bit of cerulean blue, tiny bit of alizarin crimson, just to give me a slightly more interesting colour just for the shadow there. But I like to use all sorts of different colours. There's a little bit of raw sienna now with that, just to get the edge of the woolly hat over there, and we'll soften that just with a damp brush, not water, damp. And then just have a tiny bit of very dilute viridian green, more of the alizarin and cadmium to get the red of the hat there. Let's run a bit more than I wanted it to. That's alizarin and cadmium. This is straight cadmium. Put it on fairly strong. If you don't, it'll just dry and you'll have a sort of reddish pink. Just occasionally soften the edge so it helps join the hat to the brim. So it looks as if it's all one hat. Cover the whole of the hat so that you don't have any sort of white sort of speckles in it. Let's put a bit of light red and make it a little bit darker in there. And we've got another sort of bobble, so a little bit of just spot and drop that in there, get the shadows there, and more some cerulean blue, tiny bit of cadmium to get the shadow here on this sort of collar here. Bottom. I think this, and of course there'll be a shadow of the brim of the hat just over the forehead here. A little bit of shadow just there. Keep that nice and splashy. Do one little strengthening colour there, and some final stroke of very thick paint, almost straight out of the tube, just to give some sort of creases in that coat there. Right, well, I've just changed my water because it was sort of saturated with red. It was going to contaminate everything. So let's finalise his eyes. A bit of ultramarine burnt umber. We'll give him a little bit of a glint in his eye. So leave a little bit of a white. Just looking at the corner of his eye. Tiny bit of drawing now around the eye. And I'll just soften the edge of that pupil. A little bit of red just in the corner here. Raw sienna and raw umber for the gold rimmed spectacles. Don't make them don't outline them too much. Over his nose, always useful. Glasses are like the braces on a fat man. They give you the form of the... And then we've got these glasses along here. Just a bit of work on the eyebrows. All a bit dark and mysterious in there. And then just a shadow, very, very light, just a shadow of the glasses on his face. Just going to darken that edge there so it's a little bit more obviously in the shade. And that of course will reduce the, make his nose stand out. all nice and wet. And then just some seasonal greetings. That eye's giving me trouble. You won't see any of his lips, so don't paint what you can't see. And we'll stop there. Have a good 2021. Thanks for watching.